Hello everyone, welcome to the communications module of this course. By far, we have talked about basic electronics, where we introduced electrical quantities, electronic components, voltage regulation, which is how to use a regulator circuit to provide a stable voltage for a circuit. We also talk about power control, where we introduced pulse width modulated signal to control the power for electrical device. From this lecture on, we will be focusing on the abilities that can make things smart and connect the world. There are three abilities we will introduce, namely sensing, which is the ability to collect information from the environment, computation power, which is the ability to process information, and communication, which is the ability to exchange information or to connect the world. So in today's lecture, we will be focusing on the communication ability, and we will learn why do we need a communication system, what is a communication system, the types of communication system, and how does a communication system work. And finally, we will introduce one communication protocol, the Bluetooth protocol. So why do we need a communication system? In our daily life, we already got our natural equipment, our mouth, our ears, to communicate with each other. Then why do we need to build other communication systems? Recall that the objective of engineering is to make people's life easier. We build communication systems because they can provide certain communication functions that cannot be achieved by our natural equipment. You can imagine that I will be able to talk with people within maybe 10 meters away from me. However, there's no way I can communicate with people 10 kilometers away from me. Or I'm now in Hong Kong, there's no way I can say hello to my friend in New York by using my mouth, right? So basically, a communication system can provide us functions that we cannot achieve by using our natural equipment. Now the next question is, what is a communication system? In our daily life, we have been using many communication systems. So in your opinion, what is a communication system? In fact, a communication system is a system that delivers or exchanges information. Or in other words, a communication system basically moves information from one position to another. By following this definition, even the traditional mail system is a communication system because it helps people to move information from one family to another. The example of communication systems we use in our daily life include telephone, radio, satellite, cellular, internet, etc. Then what are the types of communication system? Based on the information or the signals we transmit in a communication system, we have both analog communication system and a digital communication system. For analog system, the information is from an analog source, for example, my voice. For a digital communication system, the information is from a digital source or digitized analog source. In an analog communication system, the signal waveform will change according to the original information content. For example, in an AM radio broadcast system, the transmitted signal will change according to the original message signal, which is the voice. However, in a digital communication system, the signal is made up of discrete symbols selected from a finite set. If you look at this binary signal here, the original binary information is 01, 01, etc. And the binary signal or the digital signal we use to transmit the original information has discrete symbols, and it only takes two voltage levels to represent bit 1 and bit 0 respectively. On the other hand, we can also classify communication system into simplex, half-duplex, and full-duplex system. In a simplex communication system, the communication flow can only occur in one direction. For example, the radio or TV broadcast system. In a half-duplex communication system, the communication flow can occur in both directions, but not at the same time. The example includes the walkie-talkie system. For a full duplex system, the communication link can support simultaneous two-way communications. For example, our mobile communication system. According to the definition of communication system, we need communication system to move information. So the easiest or the simplest communication system is a point-to-point communication system where we connect two points and exchange information between them. However, building point-to-point communication system between all users or all nodes is normally not very practical. Consider the example there. We have 1 million users in US and 1 million users in Europe. If we want to build point-to-point links between all those 2 million users, you can calculate how many links we need. In fact, we need 1 million times 1 million links, which is normally not very practical. So in order to solve this problem, people propose to use a communication network where all those users will be organized by a network structure so that they can share the resources, including bandwidth and also cables. This is an example of communication networks made by an engineer from Facebook. It recorded the communication instances from all users of Facebook around the world. And you can imagine how big this network is. Then the next question is, how does a communication system work? Recall that the definition of communication system is a system that moves information from one position to the other. So the first question we need to answer is, how can we move information, or how can we carry information by using something? Then let's look at how we carry information in our daily life. So what carries information in our daily life? At this moment, you are watching this lecture video and you are reading this slide. And on this slide, you see a question says, what carries information in our daily life? Obviously, you can get the information I want to present to you by looking at this question. Now the question is, from what you get the information? Well, you're right, it is language. So in our daily life, we use language to carry information. Then what carries information between mobile phones and even within computers? The thing that we use to carry information within computers is also language. We call it computer language. For example, C, C++, Java. Those languages can help to carry information from the CPU to the display card, to carry information from the CPU to the hard disk. Then what carries information between mobile phones? It is what we call signals, and we have talked about analog signal and the digital signal. Now the next question is, how can we carry information by signals? Let's look at this binary signal again. For this example, the digital signal is using two voltage levels to carry bit 1 and bit 0 respectively. So whenever I want to transmit bit 1, I transmit a high voltage level. Whenever I want to transmit bit 0, I transmit a low voltage level. And the process or the procedure of using signals to carry information or use information to change the signals so that the signal can carry the information is called modulation. We have both analog modulation and digital modulation. Let's first look at analog modulation. So here we have what we call the carrier signal, which is a sinusoid signal. And for analog modulation, normally we have a carrier signal and also we have a matched signal. For example, my voice. Now you may have a question. You already have your voice signal. Why do you need another carrier signal to carry the information? The answer is like that. Yes, I do have my voice signal, but my voice signal is not powerful enough in terms of propagation. For example, my voice cannot go through the walls or ceilings of this room so that people standing outside the room cannot hear me clearly. However, the carrier signal normally is a high frequency signal, and it has a strong ability to propagate. It can reach people far, far away from me. That's why we need carrier signal to carry the information, and that's why we need modulation. So the next question is, how can I use the carrier signal to carry information? If we look at this carrier signal, there are several parameters we can change to carry information, including the amplitude, the frequency, and also the phase. If we want to use the amplitude of the carrier to carry the message signal, we can achieve amplitude modulation, where the amplitude of the carrier signal will change according to the message signal. So if the message signal has a high amplitude, the amplitude of the carrier will be high. However, if the message signal has a lower amplitude, the amplitude of the carrier signal will also be low. So basically, we are using the amplitude of the carrier signal to carry the original message signal. And because the carrier signal has a much stronger ability to propagate, we can use it to carry the information to a further distance. Now we can also use frequency to carry information. That is what we call frequency modulation. So basically, the frequency of the carrier signal will change according to the original message signal so that the carrier signal can carry the original information. For frequency modulation, the frequency of the carrier signal will be high if the original message signal has a high amplitude. Similarly, the frequency will be low if the original message signal has a low amplitude. We can perform similar process for digital modulation. Say for example, if you have a binary sequence 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1 you want to transmit, we can use different voltage levels to represent bit 1 and bit 0 respectively. That is what we call the baseband signal, where a high voltage will be transmitted if you want to transmit bit 1, and a low voltage will be transmitted if you want to transmit bit 0. However, this baseband signal also does not have strong ability to propagate, so it cannot be directly used in wireless communication system. In wireless communication system, we do need a carrier signal where we have three parameters: the amplitude, the frequency, and the phase we can use to carry the binary information. In fact, we can use the amplitude to carry the binary information, and we call it amplitude modulation, ASK. So what happens is, if you want to transmit bit 1, I will make amplitude A to be 1, and if you want to transmit bit 0, I will make A equal to 0. So what happens is, there will be a pulse if you want to transmit bit 1, and there is no pulse if you want to transmit bit 0. Similarly, we can use phase to represent binary information. So if you want to transmit bit 1, I make the phase equal to 0, and if you want to transmit bit 0, I make the phase to be pi. So now the phase of the carrier signal is representing the original information. Similarly, we can use frequency to carry information, and if you want to transmit bit 1, I will choose frequency F1, and if you want to transmit bit 0, I can choose frequency F2. Obviously, if you want to transmit more information by one symbol, I can increase the levels of amplitude, phase, and frequency to transmit more information. And also, we can also combine amplitude, frequency, and phase together to represent information. And that is already been used in our daily life communication system. For example, the LTE, the Wi-Fi communication system. Now, finally, we will introduce a communication protocol called the Bluetooth communication protocol. Bluetooth is a wireless technology standard for exchanging data over short distance. So it is designed for short distance communication purpose. It is using the frequency band around 2.4 GHz. Bluetooth was invented by Ericsson in 1994. It was originally designed to be an alternative to the RS-232 data cables. It has its own modulation schemes, and the data rate is from 1 to 3 megabits per second. It is a packet-based protocol with a master and slave structure. In your project, you will be using Bluetooth module to build your communication network. That's all for today.